When Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the AGT stage, a shy teenager vanished, and an electrifying, unforgettable performer took her place. From that first gasp-inducing audition, Courtney's rise felt inevitable. Born and raised in a small village in County Durham, she trained in local theater schools and quietly honed a voice that could shake a room. Early wins at TeenStar, 2015, and a viral lunchtime performance at school put her on the map. By 2017, she reached the finals of The Voice Kids UK and was opening festival stages for thousands. AGT in 2018 became her turning point. Walking on nervous and unassuming, she erupted into Otis Redding's Hard to Handle. The judges and the internet went wild. Howie Mandel hit the golden buzzer. The audition racked up hundreds of millions of views. Questions about her prior experience and even her visa status followed, but Courtney handled the noise the way she always has, by focusing on the music. She didn't win AGT, but the show launched a real career. Courtney performed in Las Vegas, signed with labels, and released music that proved she was more than a contestant. On October 25, 2019, she released the EP The Cover Sessions, showcasing her live energy and range. Plans like Woodstock 50 fell through and the pandemic stalled live touring, but she kept creating. In 2023, Courtney asserted her independence. "It's all me for this one," she said online, and proceeded to release a string of originals. Breakable, February 24th, 2023. That Girl Don't Live Here, April 7th. Call Me Back, July. And The Rock-Infused Monsters, September 29th. Which landed at number 19 on Billboard's Hard Rock Digital Song Sales chart, a notable feat for an independent artist. She even dropped a playful rock Christmas single, Christmas Rocks, November 24th, 2023. In 2024, she kept building, performing for Clive Davis at the New York Pops Gala, recording live at Metropolis Studios, and releasing videos for tracks like Spellbound and You Only Love Me When I Lie. She signed with MN2S Agency, later moved to manager Oliver Mohada at Total Artist Management, and continued sharpening her sound and stagecraft. Courtney's journey raises a bigger question. What should talent shows be? Her AGT run reignited debates about borders and branding, but the real takeaway is simpler. Whether under the glare of controversy or the quiet of a rehearsal room, Courtney's voice and presence cut through. She arrived as a mystery and emerged as an artist, still growing, still surprising, and clearly just getting started. From the start, the bar was impossibly high. After a stunning audition on America's Got Talent, anything less than perfection felt like a fall. Critics and fans debated everything. Song choices, live dynamics, and a semifinal that many said exposed how heavily she'd been hyped. Online threads broke down her every move. Some viewers felt the backlash was inevitable once the momentum shifted. Critics also pointed to inconsistency. While her audition and several performances were electric, later shows didn't always hit the same emotional peak. That perceived wobble made her defeat feel more dramatic because expectations had been inflated so early. Still, those are opinions from parts of the audience and press. Many fans continue to champion her talent. Courtney has acknowledged the pressure. In interviews, she said the journey had ups and downs, that the spotlight was intense, and that she tried to stay focused on music and growth. Her maturity showed in how she framed the experience, an early breakthrough that opened doors but also raised the stakes. After AGT, she signed with Psycho Music in partnership with Arista Records in December 2018, a move that put her inside the major label system with its budgets, teams, and commercial pressures. Major labels can offer wide exposure and top producers, but they can also steer artistic direction and slow release timelines. Courtney eventually moved away from that model, opting for independence and saying plainly on social platforms, "It's all me for this one." Going independent changed everything, and not in a neat headline-ready way, but in the small, stubborn decisions that add up until the map of a career looks different. Freed from the big label machinery that had smoothed and sometimes constrained her raw, rock blues edge, Courtney began to make choices that sounded like her. She released music on her own terms, most notably the 2023 single Breakable, a song that felt less like a product and more like a peel-back page from her life, and followed it with a string of independent tracks that mixed rock, blues, soul, and pop-punk. Working closely with producer Kevin Bow and co-writing much of her material, she reclaimed the messy, electric center of her voice. The change wasn't dramatic overnight. It was iterative. There were late nights in cramped studios where a guitar part was tried and thrown away 3 times before someone laughed and found the right riff. And mornings after where a lyric that had once been hinted at in a label meeting could finally be spoken plainly. Those small victories stacked. Breakable was the first of those victories to register widely. Not because it was engineered atop a radio chart, but because it sounded truthful. Fans who had wondered whether the major label process had polished away her sharp edges found themselves hearing the thing they'd fallen for in the first place. An artist willing to be vulnerable, reckless, and loud. Courtney has been candid about the limits she felt earlier in her career. She's talked about being placed into writing sessions and expected to channel mature emotions at an age when she was still learning what those emotions really meant. It's an awkward, infuriating position for anyone. To be coached into feeling a way you don't yet fully know, and it helped push her toward independence. Leaving the major label mold wasn't an escape for its own sake. It was an act of artistic self-preservation. The independence that followed allowed her to write songs that sounded like conversations, arguments, late-night confessions, songs that would not have fit the neat boxes she'd been asked to step into before. That creative freedom also meant accepting trade-offs. Financially, estimates around early 2025 put her net worth near $3 million, a figure that bundles together TV appearances, live shows, streaming, and social earnings. Exact numbers vary and depend on undisclosed contract terms, touring, and other income streams. What's important is the principle. Independence can mean smaller promotional budgets, but a larger share of revenue per release. For Courtney, that's a trade-off she's chosen because it buys her something more precious than a guaranteed push. Control of the story she tells with her music. Control doesn't equal comfort. Being independent means she has to be both artist and entrepreneur some of the time. Choosing collaborators, balancing budgets, scheduling tours, and deciding how to spend a single promotional dollar. But it also means the decisions are hers. If a song needs a wilder guitar solo or a lyric that admits weakness rather than disguising it, she can make that call. If a fan asks a pointed question at a meet and greet, she answers in her own voice rather than a rehearsed PR line. Those daily decisions shape the art of an artist in ways a headline won't capture. What's often overlooked in stories about independence is resilience, the textured, unglamorous persistence that follows any big choice. Courtney's path hasn't been tidy or predictable. She refused to be rushed into a teen pop mold, chose projects that felt right, and weathered criticism without letting it define her. Sometimes that meant waiting for the right co-write, the right producer, the right feel for a record. Sometimes it meant pushing through when streaming numbers dipped or when a single didn't land the way she'd hoped. Each moment taught her something about what kind of artist she wanted to be. Not a manufactured pop act, but a creator who shapes her own voice. The fans saw it, and many of them changed with her. Early supporters who discovered her in a viral moment stuck around because they recognized growth. New listeners arrived because the music now sounded less like a product and more like a person. Social media amplified that intimacy. Raw studio clips, handwritten lyric videos, behind-the-scenes talks, all small acts that made listeners feel like witnesses to a process rather than customers of a finished good. There's also the broader ripple of influence. When an artist who once had a major label's backing opts for independence and finds a sustainable way to keep creating, it becomes a quiet argument for agency across the industry. Courtney's choices speak to younger musicians who might be pressured into formulas, showing that there's space to build a career that trades immediate polish for long-term authenticity. She hasn't walked away from ambition. She simply redirected it toward having the final say. Today, Courtney is more than a viral moment. She's an artist steering her own career, still evolving, and very much writing the next chapters on her terms. The music she makes now is a map of those decisions, wobblier, riskier, and truer. And if there's a takeaway for anyone listening, it's this: that art made without apology can be the kind that endures. Success in her story is not only measured in streams or net worth, but in the quiet, stubborn ways she reclaimed her voice and kept making work that mattered to her. That kind of courage doesn't always make headlines, but it changes the conversation.